Hello everybody, this is Pastor Green. We're doing another Bible study, 1 Kings chapter 10. If you'd like me to come speak at your church, or if you have any questions, you can email me at godsohman@gmail.com. 1 Kings 10 verse 1. When the Queen of Sheba heard of the fame of Solomon concerning the name of the Lord, she came to prove him with hard questions. So the Queen of Sheba heard about this great man who had all these riches, who were the smartest man in the world, and she wanted to come here themselves to see if he really was smart or not. She wanted to prove him. And so this is a little picture here of what possibly she could have looked like, even though we know that's not what she looked like. And you can see all over the Bible, it talks about proving something, and making sure that it's legitimate. It says, bring you all the tithes. Then maybe the meat in mine house. Open your windows of heaven. There should not be enough room to receive it. And she came to Jerusalem with a very great train, with camels of bare spices and very much gold and precious stones. And when she was come to Solomon, she communed with him and all that was in her heart. So she brought all these riches that she had to see if he really was who she said she would. And she asked him every single question she could think of that was in her heart. And you can see this picture here of King Solomon and the Queen of Sheba talking. It says here that the ark landed here, ark landed there, and Noah's sons spread out. Ham went to Africa, right here. Japheth went to Europe, which is right over here, and Shem went to Asia, which is over here. And many think that Sheba was an African queen. You can see Sheba down there. And this video talks about the true story of the Queen of Sheba. She was probably of African descent, very beautiful, dark-colored skin. And Solomon told her all the questions, and there was not anything hid from the king, which he told her not. And when the Queen of Sheba had seen all of Solomon's wisdom and all the house that he had built, so Solomon answered every single one of her questions and didn't hide anything from her. And it says when the Queen of Sheba saw how smart he was, and she saw how much meat was on the table, and the sitting of his servants, and the attendance of his ministers, and their apparel, and his cupbearers, and his accent, in which he went up to the house of the Lord, there was no more spirit in her. She came there to test him, to prove him. He answered all of her questions. She looked all around his kingdom and said, you have food on the table, your servants are amazing, everything about you is just amazing. And she had no more spirit left in her. It says, and she said to the king, it was a true report that I heard in mine own land of thy acts and of thy wisdom. She's saying, everything I heard about you is absolutely true. You're rich, you're kind, you're intelligent. Howbeit I believed not the words until I came, and my eyes had seen it. And behold, the half was not told to me. Thy wisdom and thy prosperity exceeded the fame which I heard. Happy are thy men, happy are these servants, which stand continually before thee, and they hear thy wisdom. She's saying that what I heard about you didn't even scratch the surface. Everything about you, you have exceeded it. And she's saying your servants are even happy. You see, a lot of times when you have kings or you have people in power, the people that work for them, they aren't very happy. They're treated very poorly. But his servants were just treated so well. They were happy to be there. And everything about Solomon just exceeded her expectations. Blessed be the Lord thy God, which delighted in thee, to set thee upon the throne of Israel, because the Lord loved Israel forever. Therefore made he thee king to do judgments and justices. She's saying God made a good choice picking you. In Proverbs 29 it says, when the righteous are the authority, the people rejoice. But when the wicked bear rule, the people mourn. Saying that when you're a good person, your servants are happy, but when you're not a good person, your servants are not happy. Proverbs 28, for the transgression of a land, many are the princes thereof, but the man of understanding and knowledge, the state therefore shall be prolonged. So it's saying that when you're a bad king, you don't live that long. When you're a good king, you live a little longer. Back to 1 Kings 10, verse 10. And she gave the king 120 talents of gold, and of spices a very great store, and of precious stones, and there came to so much more abundance of spices as these the Queen of Sheba gave to King Solomon. Now, we talked in the last chapter about talents and how much they're worth. And I'm just gonna, you can read that if you want. But at the end it says at this price, that talent will be worth about $1,400,166. Multiply that by 120, he would have got about $168,013,920 in today's gold prices. And the navy also of Hiram that brought gold from Ophir brought it in from Ophir great plenty of among trees and precious stones. And the king made all the among trees pillars from the house of the Lord, and for the king's house harps also, and psalteries for singers. And there came no among trees, nor were seen to this day. And you can see on the map here, this is where Ophir is, and that's where the things came. And King Solomon gave to the Queen of Sheba all her desire, whatever she asked, besides that which Solomon gave to her in his royal bounty. She so turned and went to her own country, she and her servants. So she came down and just was impressed by Solomon, and anything she asked for, Solomon gave to her, and she went home happy. Now the weight of the gold that came to Solomon in 1 year was 636 talents of gold. That's 666 talents of gold. If you multiply it together, it's 932,477,256, which is almost $1 billion. And you can think about $1 billion today compared to, all way back then. Beside that, he had the merchantman of the traffic of the spice merchants and all the kings of Arabia and all the governors of the country. And King Solomon made 200 targets of beaten gold. 600 shekels of gold went to one target. And he made 300 shields of beaten gold. 3 pounds of gold went to each shield. And the king put them in the house in the forest of Lebanon. Moreover, the king made a great throne of ivory and overlaid it with the best gold. And the throne had 6 steps, and the tops of the throne were round behind, and there were stays on either side of the place of the seat, and 2 lions stood beside the stays. And the 12 lions stood there on one side, and the other lion on the 6 steps. There was not like men in the kingdom. So when I read this, is in the very top he had 2 lions facing the people. He had 6 steps, and on either side of the steps there was lions sitting there. But of course, people do their own interpretation. You can see all these different golden animals coming up. And the King Solomon's drinking vessels were of gold, and all the vessels of the house of the forest of Lebanon were of pure gold. None were of silver, and none accounted for the days of Solomon. For the king had a sea of navy in Tarshish, and the navy of Hiram. Once in 3 years came the navy of Tarshish, bringing gold and silver, ivory, apes, and peacocks. So they brought all kind of animals. And I kind of look at this as it's closer to what it looks like. You can see lions all down the steps there. So King Solomon accepted all the king of the earth for riches and wisdom, and all the earth sought to Solomon to hear his wisdom, which the God had put in his heart. So it says here that the whole entire world came to Solomon to get his wisdom, to get his knowledge, and they all brought gold to him. And you can see all throughout the Bible, it talks about the Proverbs of Solomon. He was a very intelligent man. And they brought every man his present, vessels of silver and vessels of gold and garments and armor and spices and horses and mules, at a rate year by year. And Solomon gathered together chariots and horsemen, and he had 1,400 chariots and 12,000 horsemen, whom he bestowed to the cities for chariots, and with the king of Jerusalem. And the king made silver to be in Jerusalem as stones, and cedars made here as the sycamore trees out of the valley, for abundance. And Solomon had horses brought from Egypt, and linen yarn, and the king's merchants received the linen yarn at a price. And the chariots came up and went out of Egypt for 600 shekels of silver, and a horse for 150. And so for the kings of the Hittites, and for the kings of Syria, they brought them out of their means. And the Hittites is kind of interesting people. If you look here, it says the Hittites, a civilization lost and found. It says here in July 15, 2016, the Hittites were a lost nation whose presence was long denied. And the Hittites not only been positively identified, but have taken their place. And nobody really knows much about the Hittites, but this article says, do Turkish citizens carry Hittite genes? The King Solomon loved many strange women, together with the daughter of Pharaoh, women of the Moabites, the Ammonites, the Edomites, the Zidonites, and Hittites. Solomon had many, many different mistresses and wives, which God didn't agree with, but when you're a king, people throw themselves at you. Well, guys, I appreciate you guys watching. I will see you in the next video. I'm going to put a couple things on the screen here. The bottom right-hand corner is going to be the First Kings Bible study. The top left corner is going to be the Exodus Bible study, and the bottom left corner is going to be the video YouTube things you're going to like. I appreciate you guys watching. If you have any questions, you can just let me know, and I'll see you in the next video. Have yourself a great day.